Hello there, my name is Linda Jo Martin, the Book Lady, and this video is for my Booktube and book-loving friends. For those who don't know, Booktube is a large community of book-loving friends on YouTube. So today I'm talking about books that I am reading in the month of June 2019. And each month during 2019, I have a plan to read one recent fiction, one classic fiction, one nonfiction, one YA book written for teenagers or middle grade, and then one art book and one Christian book. That is the general goal. Plus I'm doing the 2019 Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. And all of this is explained in my other videos, but it's also explained in my blog, which I'm going to be glancing at as I talk about the books that I've been reading this month, because on this page it's Book Lady's June 2019 reading report. I've been doing one of these reading reports for every month this year, and it's very helpful to me. So on this page I have notes about all the books that I've been reading in June, plus sort of a reading diary at the end of the page regarding my progress, books when I start them, when I finish them, and what I think of them in general. I am doing all my book reviews, my written book reviews over at Goodreads. And by the way, I'm always ready for new Goodreads friends. So if you have a Goodreads account, please go ahead and send me a friend request, and I'm sure I will want to approve it and connect with you there. So I like to connect with people both on YouTube and Goodreads and Facebook, but that's another story. Let's not go there. And Twitter and Instagram, but no, we're talking about books, not social media. So today I am telling you what I read in June. So far, I started with the book Scarlet. It's the second book in the Lunar Chronicles. The book was recommended to me by another booktuber. Her name is Charlie Troff. Thank you, Charlie. I'm really enjoying these books. I've read 2 of them so far. And it was for Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt number 20, a book set in space. So glad I'm reading these. I know they've been kind of on my radar for, I don't know, 5 years at least, and I finally decided to read it because of what Charlie said about how much she enjoyed them. So the second book that I have on my list, I don't know if I'm going to read it. This was for May also, and I read 4 of these short stories. There's 15 short stories in the book. I got this for the Asian Readathon. Obviously, I did not finish. There are 11 more stories for me to read, and I would kind of like to plow through it because I'm also using that for a Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt. It is prompt number 12, a book inspired by myth, legend, and folklore, because every story in that book is based on an Asian legend of some kind, or myth or folklore, anyhow. Loosely based, I should say. Some of the stories are close to the original stories, and some of them are really a lot different than the original stories, but they're all supposedly based on Asian stories. So the next one that I had planned for May, you may be wondering why I'm not getting these done in May, which was last month. And the reason why is because I got distracted because I got a new van, and I had an issue with my car, which I wanted to give to my daughter, and it had some car problems, and she has the car now and she's taking care of getting it repaired. I will pay for it, but she's taking care of all the logistics of getting it repaired, which is really convenient because she lives right next to a mechanic, a very reputable mechanic. So we're hoping that'll take care of the problem and she'll be able to use it for a long time to come. Anyhow, so the next one was a classic fiction, and I did not even get to it last month because I did that Asian readathon and it kind of slowed me down, as well as the car issues that I was having, the Asian readathon, and I didn't get to this 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and I still want to read it. Of course, that also is for a Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt. It is prompt number 32, a book written by an author from Asia, Africa, or South America, which the author of this book was from Colombia, I believe, and he won the Pulitzer Prize. No, the Nobel Prize. Yeah, so I think it's Gabriel Garcia Marquez won the Nobel Prize, and this is one of his most popular books, 100 Years of Solitude. I have a list of classics on my website, and this is one of the books that was on the list, and that's kind of what made me want to go ahead and put it on my reading list this year. Now the next book, which was also planned for May and didn't get read completely, is Vibrant Watercolors. It's my art book for May, and I'm still reading it, and hopefully I'll do some vibrant watercolors while I'm completing my reading of that book. And the next book I also planned for May is my Christian book. It's called Pigs in the Parlor. It is a practical guide to deliverance, which is actually a guide for teaching Christians how to do deliverance ministry. And I really thought this was going to be kind of a strange book because of the title mostly, and the cover doesn't inspire me all that much, but as it turns out, it's a very good book, and there's a workbook that I have that goes with it. So it isn't going to be a quick read. I don't even feel like rushing through it, but I think it's very good on this topic so far. And the pigs in the parlor thing, that is like an analogy that if you had pigs running around in your house, you would want to get rid of them, make them leave. And in this book, Deliverance Ministry, is about how to make demons go away. And naturally, if you had demons around, you would want to make them leave. So that's why it's called Pigs in the Parlor. Onward. And I don't expect to finish that book anytime soon because it's with the workbook, it just slows me down to have a book with a workbook, and I really want to read it all, so I'm thinking it'll take me about 4 months to read. Now let's talk about books that I had planned for June. And the first one, I mean, some of these I've already read. It's been a good reading month, honestly, and I read The Green Age of Asher Withrow. This is a book that I planned for Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt number 2, a book that makes you nostalgic. And this book totally did make me nostalgic. And the reason why is that this book took place in a little town called Nortonville, which was very close to a town that I lived in for a while, which is Pittsburgh, California, which is right next to Antioch, California, and right outside Antioch is a place called Black Diamond Mines Regional Preserve. And it used to have 5 mining towns. They were mining for coal and sand, and these 5 towns were out there, and Nortonville was one of them. But now when you go out to Black Diamond Mines Regional Preserve, which is part of the East Bay Regional Parks District, all that's left are the mines and the cemetery on Rose Hill. So when I was living there in that area, it was in the 1990s, I used to go there with my children all the time. I mean, well, not all the time, but quite frequently. It was a beautiful drive out into a countryside setting, but it was rather strange because when you get out there, you see the mines and you see the cemetery, but the towns are completely obliterated. They're gone. There isn't one thing there that would remind you of having a town in the area, and it just seems so strange to get out there and the towns are totally vanished. Anyhow, this is a historic novel, and it took place in the town of Nortonville. It was very well researched, and there was a lot of sad incidents. There are a lot of tragedies associated with that area, and some of those tragedies were part of this novel, and some of the characters, like the midwife in the area, was very well known, and she was part of this novel. So all of that combined to make me very nostalgic, because I really loved this place. I still do. Black Diamond Mines Regional Preserve, if you're ever in the San Francisco Bay Area, it might be worth looking at. They actually have tours of the sand mine now. I actually went on a tour of the sand mine, part of it, that they had opened right before I left. So it's a beautiful place. And we also climbed Rose Hill one day, and that was such a good memory for me. I was with my two youngest children, and we climbed all the way to the top of Rose Hill, and we had such a good view of the East Bay Area from there. So yeah, I'm getting nostalgic just talking about this book, but I recommend it. I listened to an audiobook, and the person who read the book had a very strong Welsh accent. It was a little hard to understand, but still very realistic, and I would read it or listen to it again. I got the audio book from audible.com. And most of the people that lived in that area when the mines were active were Welsh, and so that's why the reader had to have a Welsh accent. Now the next book that I read, I'm not sure which one. Okay, I think I went to the young adult books. Okay, so I actually read The Oregon Trail, which is one of those choose your own adventure books, and it's really a children's book. I read a couple threads through it. I didn't read like every page, but that was for Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt number 42, a choose your own adventure book, and it was kind of nice. Beautiful thick pages and nice color illustrations. If you have a child, I would recommend choose your own adventure book from that company. And so the next one I read was also a very special book, because one of the people who goes to my church is a 7th grade English teacher, and she recommended this book to me because I asked her, me being a book person, I had to ask her what books she assigns for her students to read. And she said that she assigns them The Giver, The Outsiders, and Touching Spirit Bear, which I had never read before, and she seemed very enthusiastic about it. So I got a Kindle copy and I read it, and I'm very enthusiastic about this book now too. This book is about a young man who is a juvenile delinquent who is sentenced to go stay on an island for a year. This is a Native American custom for young men who are not adjusting well to being friendly to other people, I guess. So it was an amazing story. Touching Spirit Bear. I very much recommend it. And then the next one I finished, it was an audiobook of Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. I read this for Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, prompt number 38, a novel based on a true story. This novel, it was highly fictionalized, but the author, Margaret Atwood, did a lot of thorough research on the life of Grace Marks. She was convicted of murder, a murder that took place when she was 15, and she was convicted at the age of 16, and originally convicted to die, but she had her sentence commuted. The young man who was convicted at the same time was actually hanged for these murders, and she was sentenced to life in prison. And this book tells her story, and I thought it was wonderful. I guess this is the second Margaret Atwood book that I've read. The first one was The Handmaid's Tale, and this one, Alias Grace. There's also a Netflix series right now. However, I haven't watched it yet. I'm seriously considering resubscribing to Netflix so I can. Now, I discovered this month that I had originally planned for a lot of paperback books, and I'm having trouble getting through them. Like this one, 100 Years of Solitude. I'm only a couple chapters into it. It's really slow going. It's kind of inconvenient for me to read a paperback right now. I'm loving Kindle books. Audiobooks I can listen to while I'm in my van. And the paperbacks, it's like, to be honest, I go to bed at night and I start reading a paperback and I'm really tired and I start getting very sleepy and nodding off, and I don't want to fall asleep on my back. So then I have to put aside the paperback and go turn on my side where I can read a Kindle book. I can actually turn off my light and turn on the Kindle and read it while I'm falling asleep. So I'm actually getting more read in my Kindle books than in my paperbacks. And I've discovered that not only do I have all these other categories of books that I want to read, I want to balance the number of paperbacks with the number of Kindle books and the number of audiobooks so that everything will get read during the month. I know this probably sounds kind of complicated, but I'm having an issue with that this month. And so in the future there's going to be more Kindle and more audiobooks. Also because I'm going to be traveling and book storage is just going to be an issue because I'm traveling in a van. So where was I going with this? Okay, Kindle. My next Kindle book is my nonfiction book for the month. It is Bound for Glory, the hard-driving, truth-telling autobiography of America's great poet, folk, singer, by Woody Guthrie himself. And I'm a few chapters into that, and I am enjoying it very much. And originally I had planned to read this nonfiction book, but as you can see, it is a paperback. It is Grandma Gatewood's Walk. I've had this one sitting around here for about 6 months because my good friend Judy read it and enjoyed it very much, and I thought it would inspire me to do more hiking, because Grandma Gatewood is like a person who hiked the entire Appalachian Trail, and it says that she saved it. This is a biography by Ben Montgomery, so it isn't something that she wrote, but it just looks like such a wonderful book for a person like me. But since it's a paperback, and since I've already got this other paperback started and am not very far into it, I kind of think it's not going to get read this month. I'm going to have to reschedule it for another month. This little paperback, by the way, it's about, 400 pages, but the print is really small. Last month I read Crazy Rich Asians, and it was 500 pages, but the print was larger. There weren't as many words on each page. So that one looks like a challenge, but so far I've very much enjoyed what I've read of it. And let's see, there was another book that I read. One more. It is a Christian book called The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. I took a trip a few days ago to Idaho State Park at the southern end of Lake Coeur d'Alene, and it was beautiful there, and on the way over there and back I listened to audiobooks, and I got this book, The Dream Giver, completely finished in one day. So it's not very long. The first half of the book is sort of like a fairy tale in similar to the Pilgrim's Progress because the names of the people are things like somebody, anybody's, border bullies, and I can't remember the rest. But anyhow, it was entertaining. The second half was him talking about helping people rediscover their dreams and make them happen, and how important that is. And so I was thinking about dreams that I've had for my life, and one of them is that I want to publish my novels, which I have not done yet. I have one novel published. It is self-published. It's called River Girl. And I don't know when I'm going to get my other ones published. I've written others, and I just need to go ahead and make my dream happen. I didn't write them for nothing, right? And so that's my intentions for the future. While I'm traveling, I have to get with it, because as we all know, I'm not getting any younger. So that is all I have to say about books that I'm reading in June. I wanted to show you a couple of things. First is this beautiful little book. It's an art book that was given to me by Nicole at my church. Thank you, Nicole. I am just so excited to have this. It says Timeless Promise, and each of the pages she's pasted things in here. This one says Celebrate. This one says Delight. This one says Friends are the sunshine of life. I think that's so cute, and I like to journal a lot, so I'm going to be writing in this. Thank you, Nicole. This is so precious. And the other thing that I got within the last month, which most of you probably already have one of these, but I have never had one before in my entire life. This is my passport. My first ever passport that I got at the age of 66. I'm so excited about this. Now, I've been to Canada a few times, but these days I've heard you have to have a passport to get back into the United States, and that wasn't the case when I was younger and went to Canada. So I got the passport because in my travels in my van, I might want to go to Mexico and I might want to go to Canada, and now I can. And I'm very, very excited about this. So freedom, I want to be able to go places. I don't really feel a call to go overseas. I just don't feel that I would want to do that. If I went any place, it would probably be to the Holy Land, because I could see myself wanting to go to the Sea of Galilee, just to walk around it and be in the places where Jesus was. And that's the only place in the world I really feel called to go, and I don't know if I'll ever do it. Right now I'm just happy to be able to travel around the United States, because I've been wanting to do that for a long time. Anyhow, I'm going to try to make some improvements in my YouTube account, as in making videos more often. So time will tell if I'm able to do that, but I'm thinking maybe 3 videos a week, or I might even go back to making more. I used to make wonderful schedules. I had a schedule that was 7 days a week videos, and it was working out really good for me until May of 2018, when my world came crashing down around me because my income went down. And then I had to go find another source of income, and it was really time consuming, and I couldn't do the videos anymore. So that isn't the situation for me now. I don't have to do that extra work. And so I'd like to go back to making videos more often. So I hereby challenge myself to get myself in front of the camera once a day, and we will see what's going to happen next, right? Every day is something different.